Hello, everybody. Welcome on this Friday evening. I know I've started my live early today on Friday. Usually it starts at 5:30, but today I've decided to start at 5 for because it's an auspicious day and there's a few pujas that are lined up. So I thought I will not miss the lives that we've been having every week. So I started early at 5 p.m. today. So today's topic is going to be about how you can use Ayurveda in our modern day living. That's what I'm going to briefly talk about. But the real reason I came here today is to answer any questions that you might have, because a lot of people do ask me questions. So I thought I'll come out here and answer them, so a lot of other people might benefit from that. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer that as well. I'll just quickly put a note here what the topic is about, and then we'll quickly go into the topic. I hope you're all having a fun day. Just pin that. Okay. All right. So, how do we talk about Ayurveda in the modern day living? What do we want to understand about how we want to use Ayurveda in the modern day living? It feels like anything you follow for health must be a very strict one. It feels like it must be a very strict regime, strict routine that you have to follow. If you're watching this video, chances are that you're looking for some change in your own health routine. It's best to understand the principles behind the science and then implement it. We're often left confused when trying to make a change and fall at the mercy of the practitioners. But please understand the logic before you start anything. Understand the logic of the process before you start anything. So when Ayurveda originated 5,000 years ago, well, that's what's said, that it's originated 5,000 years ago, but I think, or I think a lot of people do think, that it's timeless. It's existed time immemorial. But because I think we have to give a timeline, we just say 5,000 years ago, but I think it was existent from time immemorial. So when it was originated at that time, the lifestyle of the people was much different. They did not have any external triggers. They were not bombarded with emails, instant messages, phone calls. There was no familial expectations. There was no social expectations. There was not any stress. There was no electricity. There was no internet. So people back then really lived with the nature. They were following natural rhythm, like how the sun cycle would follow. That's how they would follow. So they did not experience so much imbalance as we are experiencing now. So we automatically think that we need some other strategy that worked for the ancient people, and it will not work for us. But really, Ayurveda is timeless and is written for all kinds of people. And the beauty of it is it includes body, mind, senses, and soul. So it treats us as a whole person. It treats not only the physical body that we have, but also the senses. If there is any problem with the senses, if there is any concern that we're having with stress, mental stress, if that's there. So it treats all of these as a whole. Its principles are so profound that they can be extrapolated to the current day scenario as well. So yes, we're being selfless and we're fulfilling every duty. We fulfill the duty of being a parent, of being an employee, of being a spouse, partner, son, daughter, but we don't take time for ourselves. If you have more duties to fill, it is much more important to follow Ayurveda. Its comprehensiveness, it lies in the preventive ability. I think it's the only science that talks about the preventive aspect. And then comes the curative aspect. So it's not just the prevention. It speaks about both preventive aspect and curative aspect. So if you look at any of the textbooks that were written so many years ago, you see that the first few chapters always talk about prevention. And because we're intelligent and because we forget that that's what we need to follow, then for that kind of people, the treatment principles are given, how to treat when there is an imbalance, when you're not following the preventive method. So it gave you what to do if you want to follow being in rhythm, eating correct things. It gave you the principles if you want to do that. It also gave you principles if you don't want to do that. So it's really comprehensive, and that's why I think it's very, very much useful in the modern day. And a lot of people think that it's very slow acting. Actually, some of the things, few things that I have seen myself are quick acting. Like some people call me that there is chest pain, and little remedies immediately gives them relief. Headache, it immediately, instantly gives them relief. So of course, if the causative factor is there for a long time, if there is a chronic problem, and because we work from the root cause, it takes time for you to see a difference. But you will see some difference within 48 hours. Any treatment principle that you're following from Ayurveda, if the treatment principle was correct, you must see some difference if you're following to the T, if you're following the treatment protocol, and if you're following the diet regime that is supposed to be followed, then you must see changes within 48 hours. So there are a whole range of practices that are spoken. It's like a buffet. If you go and you see so many varieties, you see hundreds of varieties, especially if you've been to Las Vegas and you see hundreds of recipes there, hundreds of food varieties there, and you're confused. But you also know there are a few things that you like, and you pick from that. Just like that, there's an array of principles there's so many. There's preventive aspects, there's treatment aspects, what to do, what not to do. There's so many things that are laid out. So it's up to you to pick and choose which one resonates with you well. It's not necessary that you follow all of them, and I really don't recommend that you follow all of them. I know when you're first starting and when you first learn about Ayurveda, you're like, oh my God, what is the dosha? Oh, with the dosha, I have to follow this kind of food. I have to be sleeping at this time. I have to be waking up at this time. I want to follow everything possible. But that makes it very much rigid again. You're like, oh my God, this is a strict protocol. I cannot follow it forever. So I say pick 3 best things that work for you, or even 1 if you think that 3 are too much. You can pick 1 thing that works for you, follow that for 2 weeks, see the change for yourself with that one little change that you've made for yourself, then include another one. And firstly, I want to say that start with the don'ts. There are some things that are not allowed to be done in Ayurveda in a daily routine. Usually they say you should not be doing these things, that things. So first follow the don'ts. Those are easy to follow. And then get to the do's. And we'll go through them. We'll talk about a few of those principles, also a few of those techniques that can be followed. So, and I also wanted to reiterate this one small thing. When you look any autobiography of any successful people, you will surely notice that discipline is definitely an element in their lives. And most of the times that's their success formula. So if we inculcate that in our daily routine for ourselves, then surely we can bring some balance in the chaotic lives that we have. So let's talk about a few don'ts, right? Those are easy. We just have to eliminate that from our lives. So let's look at three of those. I want to give you only three so that these are my top three. I want to give you these top three so that you can start with those three, see how that works with you, and then you can incorporate anything on top of it. And if you have any questions in these, please feel free to ask questions. And any other questions that you have regarding Ayurveda, also, I'll be happy to answer those. So, first, start with stopping cold foods. That's your biggest thing. Your body is warm and moist, and it requires warm things in the body. If you give cold things, then your body is really working hard to heat up. So remove cold foods. Do not sleep late at night. Do not eat heavy, oily foods. So these are the three biggest things that you can follow for yourself. And see how the changes are. Just follow one thing. If you want to follow just one thing, remove all the cold things that you're consuming. And then do the other two, if that's what your preference is. But just following this itself will make a biggest difference. And trust me, you will see a lot of difference. So then let's come to do's. What are the do's that you can do? Definitely, I've spoken a lot of times about waking up early in the morning. That's the best thing to do. You can wake up, or you must wake up early in the morning so that you have a good bowel movement, and wake up with good thoughts, because for the gratitude that you actually woke up, and there's so many things that are awaiting for you in the world. So waking up with that gratitude, and when you wake up at that time, your air element is also very well, that you will have an easy bowel movement. That's one do. The second thing is, definitely, I've noticed this with a lot of people that I speak with, that they do not scrape their tongue. They brush their teeth, but they forget to scrape their tongue. It is very, very important that you get a good tongue cleaner and really, really scrape your tongue. There's a lot of gunk that gets stored on your tongue. There's a lot of metabolism that happens when you go to sleep. There's a lot of subtle metabolism that happens when you go to sleep. And as a part of that metabolism, there will be some wastes that will be produced. And that wastes come and stay as gunk on your tongue. So it's important that you scrape your tongue. And the third important thing that you can do for yourself is abhyanga, applying oil all over your body. Instead of going to a spa for a glowing skin, I know that's not a possibility now in COVID times, but for you to maintain good glowing skin and for you to remain youth for a longer time, this is the biggest secret in Ayurveda, that you must apply oil on your body every single day. Of course, there are some times that you must not. If you're suffering from any disease, you must not do that. If you're already suffering from obesity or any excessive accumulation of mucus, then you must not apply oil on your body. If it is very, very cold night, then it's better not to do that. But other than that, abhyanga every day is a very, very good thing for you to do. The fourth thing is eating Ayurvedic way. Again, eating Ayurvedic way does not mean that you're eating only Indian food. You can eat any foods that are available, but following the principles that are mentioned in Ayurveda, eating warm, having good digestive spices in it, and eating only when you're hungry. So if you do that, that's also one game changer for you. And sleep on time. These are 5 things that you can do for yourself that will get you started, and then you can build upon it. Again, if these are difficult and you think there is already a lot of undigested toxins that are accumulated in the body and you do not know how to start, it's very difficult to incorporate these. The reset button is given by Ayurveda in terms of Panchakarma. Panchakarma is deep cleansing of your body. There are 5 techniques that are mentioned in Ayurveda, and these are, I know there's a lot of cleansing methods that are spoken in health world these days. I heard there's coconut water cleansing. I heard there's so many varieties of cleansings that are available. But this cleansing is a very, very methodical cleansing, and you must do it with a known practitioner only, the practitioner who knows what they're doing. This Panchakarma is bringing all the undigested toxins that are present in the body into your digestive tract and then removing it either through vomitus or causing excess bowel movements. Or there's enemas also. There's decoction enemas that are given as well. So this is like a deep cleansing where a reset button is given. And once that reset button is given, you can then build upon any practices that you want to practice, any of these techniques that you want to practice so that you can maintain your health. Again, the reason I brought up all of these is these are simple and easy techniques that we can follow in our modern day living, even though doing our duties as whatever we have been doing as an employee, as a parent, as a daughter, all the duties that we've been doing, we can still do them with incorporating these in your life, just having a little discipline and knowing what you're supposed to do. You know, you have some don'ts and you have some do's now. You can incorporate that in your life and start seeing changes for yourself. Then you can build upon it. And Panchakarma is also one thing that you can follow if there is any deep-seated conditions that you're suffering from. Then that is one reset button that you can choose any good practitioner near you, get that, and then start any practice. So Ayurveda is definitely applicable in modern day living as well. And it's very, very easy for us to practice, even though we don't have to be living in a forest. We don't have to be forgetting all the responsibilities that we have, all the social obligations, all the social responsibilities that we have. We don't have to forget that in order to practice a mindful living. And that's what I wanted to bring out today and really highlight that topic. But if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. And that's really the reason why I come out here, to answer questions that you might have. And I hope the session was beneficial for you to understand how Ayurveda is beneficial and how we can use that for our own benefit. And this is a legacy that we can really understand the principles, apply it for ourselves, and then once we know it, once one person in the family knows it, then you can give it to everybody in your family. You can pass it on to everybody in your family, and everybody will be able to follow the same lifestyle. And trust me, there is a lot of difference that you will see in your own health, and the way you're understanding the whole nature and the way you're grasping everything is going to be completely changed. It will be a game changer. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. If you don't have any questions, then we can certainly meet again next time. It just feels like I'm talking to myself, and I miss having that direct exposure, directly talking to people. It would be great to hear from you to see if I'm reaching anybody. I know a few people are watching, but This does not have a feature for me to find out who is that. But if you do not have any questions, thank you so much for joining the session today. I hope you have gained some insights on how easy it is to apply Ayurveda to your own daily life. And it's very easy to follow as well. I hope that was beneficial for you. And if you have any questions later, if you're watching this later time and not on live, you can certainly reach out to me and let me know any questions you have. All right. Thank you so much for joining, and see you all next time.